Welcome to our Shareholders Agreement video tutorial about liquidation preference clauses. A liquidation preference is a right that has an effect during a liquidity event. A liquidity event is basically an event in which shares turn into cash. It can be the sale of an entire business, but it can also be a dissolution of the company. A liquidation preference ensures that an investor has certain priority claim on the cash proceeds from the liquidity event. Usually the cash investor gets their money back first, and only after this the founders will have a claim on what money is still left. Depending on what it says in the shareholders agreement, the investors might get more than just their money back. They could claim a predetermined positive percentage return in addition. That means they get a positive return before the founders even start to benefit. It could also be that the investors want their money back first and subsequently want to benefit again based on their percentage shareholding. Let's take a look at an example. An investor puts $2.5 million into a company for 10% of the shares post-money, meaning the value of the company is $25 million. In return, the investor gets preferred shares with a double dip liquidation preference. In this case, the double dip is a liquidation preference that first gives the investor the right to 1x his investment back, and subsequently lets him participate as a regular shareholder in the remainder of the value. That's a common form of liquidation preference. Let's say the company has not performed well and lost value. It is now being sold for $10 million, which is the liquidity event. Now the investor gets back 1x, meaning $2.5 million, and then 10% of the remaining value. 10 million minus 2.5 million equals 7.5 million, which is 750,000. So the investor gets back his original money and a return of 750,000, or 30%. That means the investor has made a positive return, even though the company has lost value. So what is left for the founders? They receive 10 million minus 3.25 million, equaling 6.75 million. So they went from owning 90% of 25 million, equaling 22.5 million in shares, to owning 6.75 million in cash. That's still a lot of cash, but important to note that the investor went up 30%, while the founders are down to 70%. That's because the investor got 32.5% of the proceeds, despite owning only 10% of the shares. Like anti-dilution, there are also different types of liquidation preferences. The example above is called a participating preferred liquidation preference, or a double dip. With this particular liquidation preference, the investor gets his initial invested amount back, perhaps even increased with a percentage return per year, and then receives a percentage of the remaining cash proceeds also. Other variations can be the non-participating preferred or capped preferred. Look them up online if you're ever in the mood. There is a large difference in outcome between participating and non-participating preferred shares, so always check the language of your contract very carefully. This can really matter when the exit comes. We have training sessions that can help you think about your shareholders agreement. Please let us know if you want to join by sending us an email. We hope you've enjoyed this tutorial. Don't forget to watch other tutorials about the shareholders agreement.